But yeah, so if I was offered a ring by Sauron, I'd be like, why are you giving it to these dudes? Like, they might be my other, but I'd just be like, well, why does everyone else get one? And then after that, they have to have some form of contest for who gets those Ring of Powers. It just ends up looking like Ring Factor. So it's like Sauron, who's like Simon Cowell.
Please, Sauron, it's my last chance.
Galadriel, who's like, I don't know who's in
Sharon Osbourne?
Sharon Osbourne?
Well, I guess she's more the Cheryl Cole.
Oh yeah, she's definitely more Cheryl. Hi there, I'm Liam Reedy and welcome to Two Reels Podcast. Happy New Year to everyone who's listening, but today we are talking about Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, as during the holiday period just gone, it reached its 20th anniversary. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone who listened last year in 2021. We had an incredible year and we've got lots and lots going on this year in 2022, including our new Patreon and merchandise store. Loads more info on that very soon. But today I'm joined by Joe Cassidy to talk more about the legacy in the first movie of the Lord of the Rings opus by Peter Jackson, The Fellowship of the Ring. So let's get to it.
It's that bread that can fill a man's, like one bite can fill a man's stomach for a day.
Lambus bread.
Lambus bread. That is what is stuck in my throat.
More Lambus bread. Great start to our 20th anniversary
and
podcast. Oh god. Our 20th anniversary podcast for the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, born primarily out of spite. because Warner Brothers have done fuck all.
Yeah. So the cynic in me, which is often,
is you.
Well, yeah. The cynic in me is just, there's no optimist here. No, but like, it's sad how, maybe if the cynic in me was proven wrong more often.
The optimistic in you would rise.
Rise like Gandalf the White. So yeah, if the cynic in me was pulled down by the bulwark, and presumably my last words, they wouldn't be like, "Fly, you fools." They'd be like, "Fucking knew this would happen." No, but like, I'm thinking, they made this huge deal out of like 20th anniversary of what's it called, Philosopher's Stone, like on Sky Movies.
Yeah. Like, which is why we're doing this.
Yeah. And that's why I've got all the cast of Fellowship of the
Ring. We've got the crew. We're on set at Rivendell.
It's coming from New Zealand.
Yep.
Going to have Peter Jackson and Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is currently playing a chair.
full polka dotted up for mocap. And Peter Jackson with his back turned, just editing more Beatles footage.
More than anyone could possibly ask for. And I love the Beatles, but fucking hell, that's a lot of footage.
Yeah, is it?
But anyway, what we're going with is, do you think that is partly? I mean, maybe it's not affected the sort of bottom end of it, which obviously it's the money that sort of makes these decisions. But like J.K. Rowling's like made some sort of like she's been very sort of transphobic. I'm not going to get into too much of a hot topic discussion, but what I'm saying is,
let's not open that gigantic Mary Poppins bag can of worms.
Really angry worms. But like, do you think if that sort of hurt the brand at all? Maybe they've done that in a way of like sort of brand prevention, brand salvaging, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like there's I wouldn't go more than maybe like 10-15%, but I feel like that was a wise decision on Warner Brothers' part. I think they were always going to do something.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the clips where it's like, the advert where it's like Rupert Grint being like, we're family, and like Emma Watson's all like, oh, what's better with Harry Potter in it? And I'm sure like their sentiment's genuine. I'm not knocking them.
Of course, yeah.
But it just seems like it might be a canny move when the brand is kind of associated with something a bit ugly, whereas it wasn't before.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Lord of the Rings, I mean, I'm sure there is like a franchise and there's a lot of money being made from it, but it's art, isn't it?
Lord of the Rings is art in it, but one thing which I realised, which might be a contributing factor to why there isn't much hoo-ha about the 20th anniversary. There isn't as big a studio behind it.
No, it's true. Oh, so wait, I think
It's New Line.
Are they not owned by Warner Bros. Nowadays?
I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure they're owned by someone. I remember New Line was like, I would get excited if I saw a New Line logo, right, for a film, because they did Lord of the Rings and they also did the Blade movies.
Yeah.
So I was like, these are my guys.
Especially at that time period.
Oh yeah, early 2000s, late 90s, like they were cooking on gas.
But yeah, I'd say if this was, like a Disney production, I feel like this would have been everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially on like Disney Plus or 100%. It just would have been everywhere.
I know there is an Amazon series coming of I think it's stuff from the Silmarillion. Like I'm sure I've mispronounced that, but like the history sort of book. I think it's set like 1,000 years or so before Lord of the Rings. Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely like a prequel in some degree. I reckon if it was Disney, there'd have been like 7 different shows by now on Disney Plus. None of us had wondered what Gandalf's teenage years were like, but we'd know. We'd know by now.
There'd be a TV series for just the mouth of Sauron.
Just.
But New Line Cinema, again, we talk about this all the time, but the movies that made us, New Line Cinema had a really interesting start.
Didn't they start making like low budget horror movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most notably, well, it was established in the 60s, but didn't really get going until the 70s.
Right. Friday 13th, right?
And 80s. And its biggest one being The Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984, which really kind of cemented them as a good production company.
Yeah.
It had its first franchise then, and then obviously it made millions of dollars going forward. So we have Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger to thank for the Lord of the Rings movies, which they really do kind of mention that in the movies that made us on Netflix. Check it out if you haven't seen it, but I'm probably sick of us talking about it.
To be fair, I have always wanted like Freddy versus Gollum.
Nice, yeah. I'm sure they're brewing up like a video game where it's just all the characters in
it's my precious now, bitch. It's, Lad Freddy for you.
Yeah, that's great.
The New Line verse.
I can't believe that in Space Jam 2 that they included the Droogs from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, just insane. Just like what do kids?
It's
love?
In a kids movie.
Kids love Droogs, right?
Yeah, you can understand the dragons from Game of Thrones. Yeah. Even though the concept itself, I absolutely hate. The
whole thing is just horrid.
We have Ready Player One to thank for that, but
I've never admitted.
I don't like it. I think it's a terrible film.
I actually never saw it because I just thought I don't like that idea. Just sort of what's the IPs colliding?
Yeah. And it's come to fruition with Zuckerberg creating the metaverse, and it's going to be the worst thing to ever happen to this planet. That's a very bold statement. I'll take it back immediately. but it's going to be the worst thing to happen to the internet. All right, let's just probably say that.
Well,
and that's a broad spectrum in itself.
Well, listen. The worst thing the worst thing that could happen to the worst thing that ever did happen. No. If the internet, a lot of bad stuff, but also wouldn't have this podcast, and also I wouldn't know anything.
Yeah,
everything I've ever learned was from Wikipedia. Obviously I would be suspicious, but if it was Facebook, dodgy. Meta, I trust those guys.
Yeah. That rebrand's really worked for them.
Absolutely. So that's what happens with rebrands, is that it instantly washes away all your sins.
Yeah. That's why I'm changing my name to Terence.
Terence. Oh no, you can trust Terence.
For all my sins are now gone. As Liam.
When you embezzle all the me, Sam, and Harry, like, damn Liam, you're like, this is Terence now. But like, oh no, we can trust Terence.
Just like all of the documents are gone. I can't really do a decent segue from that, but
I'll tell you what documents aren't gone. The documents of my love for this film.
So the documents were signed in 2008 by New Line and Warner Brothers.
Right, so they are.
So they are the parent company. That's probably why we're not getting a Lord of the Rings 20th anniversary. Too busy with Harry Potter.
They're like, listen, New Line, this was our baby.
I was going to say, it was before we even like yanked away the rights for you.
When buying you was just a glimmer in our eye.
Yeah.
Just like, in the, what do you call it? The one with Mysterio, Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Far From Home, yeah.
You know when Happy Hogan, the character that no one asks for but everyone gets.
Yeah.
When he's like to Peter Parker, like, you're never gonna be as good as Spider-Man. Like, that is literally them being like, hey, listen, Sony, we beat you at your own game. Like, we made our B tier characters like A-list.
Do you mean Iron Man?
Well, no. Wait, what did I say?
You're never going to be as good as Spider-Man. I'm like, he's talking to Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, so he says you're never going to be as good as Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is Marvel.
It is poking Sony.
Yeah. And,
poking the bear, yeah.
Really annoyingly. And I reckon that is what they're like with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Even though it's not accurate, because Lord of the Rings... I mean, it's different. They're different animals, but, Lord of the Rings is better.
They do get a lot of comparison.
I think it's just because they were released like same year.
I feel like that's true. That and there's a wizard in either.
Yeah, Wizard and Eva. And,
even though one isn't about wizarding.
No.
One's about epic adventure.
Yeah.
And one's about bratty school kids.
Yeah, and also...
private school kids.
Yeah.
Even though it's free. Like, I don't... No.
No, I mean, those books cost a lot alone, right?
Let's not get into Harry Potter. Let's wait for the Harry Potter podcast.
Yeah,
I will say this, right?
Right.
It's not that I dislike Harry Potter a lot. It's just that the films I'm just not a huge fan until they really get to like the last three. I think that they're actually really good. The effects and the supporting cast are great in either. You got tons of.
You are literally watching those kids learn how to act.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why there's a curve of like the quality.
Absolutely. Oh, the thing is, I can appreciate. There's something to appreciate in pretty much all of them. But the thing is, they're not really that. I know they're both like big sort of fantasy sort of epics with like a lot of massive fan bases.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings is this sort of epic sort of basic story about like war and friendship and stuff. And until like the last one, the Harry Potter books, and I'm not knocking them.
Yeah.
But they are like just magical kid mysteries.
Yeah.
Like they are just solving stuff like around the school.
They are just the what are they called?
Scooby Gang?
It's Scooby and the Gang, but with wands.
Yeah, wands and no talking dogs.
And no talking dogs, so it's infinitely less appealing to me.
100%.
The comparison is probably not right. Is not correct.
Yeah, I don't really see that there's a lot of like crossover, but it's like. I mean, like Game of Thrones, right?
Yes. That
gets a lot of comparisons to Lord of the Rings, and I think it's literally just because Sean Bean was
in the series for one series.
Like, I don't really see like a lot. I mean, I'm sure, like, I suppose people have said there's like similarities with like Sam in Game of Thrones, like, although I don't really see it. I mean,
no, I don't see it.
His name's Sam.
I just feel like there's comparison between the two because to a wider audience, it's just they're both fantasies with castles.
Yeah,
and swords.
But like, I mean, I know like the comedian Stuart Lee called Game of Thrones Peter Stringfellow's Lord of the Rings. I don't know, I can definitely see it. But like, I mean, it's Lord of the Rings is. I mean, Game of Thrones is more just sort of like scheming and like.
It's basically politics. Whereas Lord of the Rings is like war and like said like friendship and like
and politics does sort of. Play its
a little bit
rears its ugly head.
Nowhere near compared to Game of Thrones though,
no.
Which is sword and shield politics, and this is it's definitely about this is like one of the purest like trying to adapt good and evil.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like there is no redeeming qualities about the evil side of this.
They are like very much the representation of evil. Made flesh.
And
or not.
And in popular culture, it's like the go-to for evil is the Eye of Sauron. Like especially for like older generations who read the books. It would just be I remember my parents using this reference using the all-seeing eye as a reference.
Oh, right.
You know, before even seeing the films.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that, you know, for a generation or two before us, that's just like when you're talking about something omnipotent and evil.
Yeah.
You reference Lord of the Rings.
I mean, there isn't really a better example of like an all powerful evil.
No.
And I bloody love the. I mean, all I really know of his backstory, Sauron, is that there was a previous big bad dude.
Yeah.
And he was like his right hand man.
Okay.
And at some point they fell out.
Nice. I love the simplistic telling of that tale, where it's just like I'm sure there's hundreds of pages of backstory to
in multiple languages.
prior to Lord of the Rings, and you're just like two mates, both really evil.
Yeah.
One's dead, and he just takes over the family, the friendship business. You know, the
Two
business.
mates both are liking evil.
Yeah. One of them dies. The other one's just like, I'm going to continue being really evil.
Gonna make a ring. Gonna be in charge of a load of other rings.
I might be double evil. You know, just enough for two.
Oh, then I'm just giving you these rings out of the goodness of my heart. Don't you worry.
I feel like that is one of the most suspicious things about it. Like, I'm not going to start picking apart Tolkien's work, but when I watch it back, I think if someone came up to me who looks like Sauron, and like gifted me these rings, me and my mates, you know, the kings, or if I was an elf or a dwarf, I'd probably be a dwarf.
I feel like everyone watching, if you don't think I'd probably be a dwarf, you've got too high an opinion of yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Anyone who thinks they'd be an elf in this situation is just like, just come down to earth. You know, just get off your high horse.
Absolutely. Like if you're like looking at like Galadriel being like hello and like you know, if you're like, oh yeah, I can relate to that, fuck off, mate.
But so if I was offered a ring by Sauron, and he said, you know, quote unquote, this is a ring of power. I'd be like, why are you giving it to these dudes? Like, they might be the other kings, the other one of my mates. But I'd just be like, well, why does everyone else get one?
So you'd be like, Sauron, they're great guys, but like just between you and me, I'm the best one.
Yeah. Also, you know, Tom over there, bit of a dick, wouldn't give him one. He'd just be like, he owns slaves, mate. You're gonna give him a ring of. It gets really problematic. So
honestly, mate, like, I mean, like, I'm not judging them, but him and his wife have like an open thing, and like I thought I was just round there for drinks, and then like I felt a hand.
One thing led to another.
Yeah, like I mean, do you really want to give your ring to someone like that?
And then after that, they have to have some form of contest for who gets those ring of powers. It just ends up looking like Ring Factor. So it's like Sauron, who's like Simon Cowell.
Please, Sauron, it's my last chance.
Galadriel, who's like, I don't know, who's in
Sharon Osbourne?
Sharon Osbourne?
Well, I guess she's more the Cheryl Cole.
Oh yeah, she's definitely more Cheryl Cole, yeah. And then we have to judge. But anyway, if I was being offered...
My nan always wanted me to have a power ring. This is for her. I think the
Adam
final
Deck
round...
there just like, that is a really sad story.
You're going straight through. I didn't like your sad story. I loved it. Either that or they'll just have to decide it with dwarf tossing.
Yeah. And so I'd if anyone like looking like Sauron came up to me and said, I'll give you this, I'd be beyond suspicious.
So I was rewatching the Fellowship for the podcast, extended edition.
The only edition, really.
I mean, here's the thing. I will insist that some respect be put on the theatrical version.
Obviously.
Because, you know...
They're the original.
Yeah, and that, you know, that's what made us fall in love with it. But, like, the extended edition is
the edition.
Yeah. It's it's brilliant. It adds everything that's great about the theatrical version.
Like, it's only amplified.
Exactly, yeah. It doesn't detract at all. It's brilliant. And where was it going? So apparently, I think, right, and bearing in mind... I haven't read the Lord of the Rings books.
I've only read Return of the King randomly.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you're a quirky guy. You're going to go backwards.
So, yeah. Yeah, well, the last time I picked it up, I finished it when I was 12 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big gap. Like, maybe I'm leaving, like, 20 years in between each. Yeah, I will read Two Towers this year. That's like one of my resolutions. Happy New Year to everyone who's listening as well.
Oh, Happy New Year, guys.
So yeah, I'm going to leave 20 years between reading
so
each one of these books.
Going to read Fellowship on your 50th.
I will be 51 when I read Fellowship of the Ring.
Excellent.
Let's not get into the Hobbit. I don't, maybe if I can remember at 71, I will read it. But yeah, I'm going to work my way backwards.
Just at 70, that's where the ring came from.
Just like, or even that, I've forgotten what happens in the rest.
Nash!
Who's Bilbo Baggins? I hadn't read. I only read one. At the time of seeing Fellowship of the Ring, I hadn't read any. Obviously,
yeah. Because you're like readings for squares, and I'm a cool kid.
Yeah, yeah. Readings for squares. He says probably at that year when Fellowship came out, I probably read whatever the Harry Potter book was at the time, Prisoner of Azkaban or something.
Yeah, 100%. But what I was saying about, so basically, right, I knew the story of Lord of the Rings. This is like as a child, I had learning difficulties. Like, it took me ages to learn how to read, and I was later than everyone else. And but was also had the advantage of being quite a bit fat. So like my dad was like, better take this kid on some walks. And he was, and like, because my reading was a bit behind, he like told me the stories of Lord of the Rings, as if it was like, I mean, he wasn't like he took credit for the stories. So like, the Tolkien's estate don't sue.
Yeah.
Like he would sort of tell it to me like it was like a myth or whatever, and so I sort of knew the stories quite well. And he would stick to the source. Like I was always because I knew The Hobbit as well, because we had like a graphic novel adaptation with some like really beautiful artwork. So like, I knew that story, and I remember I'd always be like, "Oh, so what was Bilbo doing?" And when you were a kid, you try and like influence the story like you're being told, sort of thing. If he was like, "No, Bilbo wasn't there. Bilbo was old by this point." I'm sort of like, "All right, Dad."
I like how you're just like picking apart his alibi. you're just like trying to make sure that he's not taking credit for these films.
One false move, Dad, I'm getting you sued.
I've got Tolkien's estate on speed dial. In 2001 I had no idea about Lord of the Rings.
No. Well, I had no idea. It was weird though, because even though like I knew there were books and stuff, it felt very sort of like that's my thing. That's like where's Dad's royalties?
Is Papa getting a check?
Yeah, so I was really excited. I vividly remember my dad was so excited when we went to see him. That the guy in like the box office, like he sold him tickets. He was like, my dad just went, "I've been waiting 30 years to see this film," and the guy in the box office couldn't care less. Cold, heartless.
Jesus.
So apparently, basically, bit of an aggression. But like I was just googling like just on the Wikipedia for like various things, and apparently Sauron, probably getting this wrong or misremembering, but when he had the rings forged and like gave them as gifts, because he could at this time like, alter his appearance.
Oh, okay.
And he appeared as fair as possible.
Is that how it's written?
Yeah. So along those lines. So it's sort of like as fair as he was able to like conjure himself. Just
nice.
Sort of like, who's this handsome dude? Oh, just handsome old Sauron. Here's a ring.
he just like walks into Rivendell to see the elves, and he's basically dressed like Don
Johnson in Miami Vice.
Yeah, either that or as Kenneth Branagh in the Harry Potter movies, where he's just like really handsome and dashing. He's like telling him all these stories that didn't happen.
Galadriel was like, normally we wouldn't allow you to our forest, but you are so handsome.
Your name doesn't sound evil at all.
As a kid, I really got confused between Sauron and Saruman. I wasn't the brightest kid, but
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I have a similar thing. I mean, you were what, like 9 or 10
when this came out? Was it 2001?
Yeah,
10. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was.
Oh wait, no, just 11.
Yeah. So I was also 11. So the
Because they came out like Christmas time, didn't they?
they did, yeah, December 19th.
Yeah.
We're a little bit late for the 20th anniversary, but
well, as Sam
not as
suggested-
late as Warner Brothers and New Line. So
in your face.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do one for Return of the King. Be like, I
hope so.
Anniversary of like the end of the epic.
yeah,
trilogy.
okay, yeah.
Do you remember how like they gave Oscars to that one? To be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
because it's the end now. So here's all the Oscars. Like, where were you when with the other two?
Yeah. Where were you when the ones which I think are better? Controversial.
This is easily my favourite, if I'm honest. And it's
Yes.
not that I'm like hating on the other two. There's not things where I can be like, well, this sucks. There isn't. It's just this is the one that really gets me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like 11 when I went in, and I remember I would always like refer to like Sauron as like, oh, the Dark Lord, rather than like,
Yeah, because you don't want to get them confused.
No, 'cause what
even
if
though they're both evil.
what if I said Saruman by accident? Everyone would think I was an idiot.
I also had a similar, like, internal miscommunication where I thought they were saying hawks and not orcs.
Oh.
So I was like, there's a surprising lack of birds in this film for them referring to these hawks all the time.
Seriously, when they get out of Moria and Aragorn's like, these hills will be crawling with orcs.
Yeah.
Were you thinking like, oh, there's gonna be some really scary birds turn up?
Yeah, and then they some birds do turn up and they're not scary at all. You know, like they're like spies for Saruman or
many spies with many eyes.
Yeah, and they're just like crows, and I was just like,
that's not a hawk.
that's not scary at all. That's not a hawk.
Where are these hawks I keep hearing so much
I
about?
was literally like, what the fuck? It was only until I watched the Two Towers when that came out.
Yeah.
I feel like that it was said on screen and I heard it pronounced correctly, and then like directly referenced in the scene, and then it's like these are the orcs, and I was like, oh, imagine that in the cinema, like.
You just like, well, those are orcs.
Yeah, like, no, it's just like, like the cinema's packed. It's like first night or something.
Yeah.
And I just stand up in the middle and I'm like, oh, he said orcs. I thought it meant hawks. And everyone's just like pelting me with, drinks and...
They mentioned goblins. I thought they were goblins.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I'm getting there. It's like, I know we're like 2 films in, but I'm getting there.
Shut the fuck up! Stop explaining what you thought, man.
Sorry, I didn't bring the appendices with me.
Yeah, that's what you just get. Someone just throws a version of the book. Yeah.
Just a dusty old book. Yeah. So this is the. I mean, we as a podcast, our 5th podcast that we ever did. Now back in February 2021.
So I was like, just before that, February 2000. Like, what? How many episodes have I missed?
Yeah, I know.
You've been podcasting since before this film came out.
Yeah,
that was when you and a young you and Harry were just like, "What's this Lord of the Rings going to be like?"
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Long pause. It was our fifth episode, which feels like ages ago now, and it's not even been a year. But we talked about the whole trilogy, really. But with this, with Fellowship of the Ring, I feel like it's a bit of it's the sleeper one of the 3. For the majority of people.
Yeah, I suppose I think a lot of people do tend
because
to
of the grandiose of the battles in the 2nd and 3rd, and obviously the 3rd being the end.
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't. I wouldn't say it gets slept on, but it's more like for majority. I would believe it to be the least favourite.
Yeah, certainly as like amongst my friends, I feel it's the least favourite.
It does, but for me, it feels like it is a different. Oh, he's probably said this, but like if you haven't listened to our Lord of the Rings Extended Edition podcast, I suggest you do. But if you don't want to, then we're going to go through it once a year because obviously we'll be doing a Two Towers and a Return of the King one on the anniversaries for that as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a different movie, and to explain that, I feel like even though it was all shot together, the editing process was kind of done in stages.
All right.
I feel like the you can tell that they obviously put the editing budget was for the latter two,
Okay.
and through stories that have been told by Peter Jackson and kind of cast and crew and stuff, they did have to see like how the initial reaction was, and there was always a chance that they would not release the other two movies,
Jesus Christ.
which is mental. Like
that would have bankrupted the studio surely to have like two films
that they just don't release.
Yeah, like,
it would have had to have done so poorly though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They would have had to have not even bombed. It would have had to have just not gone over well at all.
Yeah.
Which I mean, because of the fan base, kind of makes that impossible.
Yeah, I think so. Like it's a
but it was always an option for. I mean, like for studios, just look at. I know they're going to be released, but look at the sheer delay on like Avatar 2 and 3, where it's just like it's one of those things that's always proverbially, which is always in development hell. Like
proverbial.
Is proverbially? That's not a word.
It's often.
Which is always. It would have been like that situation where it just keeps getting moved back, or they, because of just changes in certain aspects, they just go, well, we're not gonna produce it.
Yeah. Like they're all filmed now, right? The Avatar films.
I've no idea. I don't care.
Yeah,
like
I'm not. Yeah, no, it didn't really grab me. Avatar.
I feel like the film was boosted by it being the first like seriously produced 3D film, and then just these sequels. I'm just like they're just unnecessary.
Yeah.
No one's clamoring for more adventures on Pandora. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was good for what it was. Like, even if you didn't like it...
You don't want to see what the underwater society in
Pandora yeah. Yeah, great, yeah.
There's Navi with gills. That's what we've always wanted.
Jar Jar Binks, but balloon. Like, yeah, great. But yeah, so with The Lord of the Rings, like I said, it was probably practically impossible for them not to have released the other two.
Yeah.
But with Warner Brothers, movie studios are just crazy. They are just, when you write down what happens and what they do, it would just be like, all of this is madness.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a different movie, and the other two are so similar to each other because of that.
And they flow like quite,
yeah,
effortlessly.
Yeah.
And also, they're on similar. It's like similar dynamic. The whole so second one, obviously Merry and Pippin were the Ents in there first. By the end of that film.
Yeah.
But then once they're back with the lot, like the other four, and they're all still with like the Rohan lot. They just go from like Rohan to Gondor, and then Sam and like Frodo and Gollum are still like going through like the mountains.
Yeah.
And obviously there's like the spider bit in the third one, which I think happens in the second book.
Does it?
Yeah. Cause I think whatever they go through in the third one is more just like the internal and sort of like strife and the paranoia and stuff. And they were like, need something more cinematic for that last one. So they had like Faramir as like their obstacle in the second film, and then like giant spider, third one. Makes sense.
So with Fellowship, I feel that obviously it doesn't feel too far removed, but it does feel like an independent film rather than a big budget. Like the effects, there's not as many overly CGI'd effects.
Yeah, it's a lot more reserved, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that lends to it being more grounded.
Yeah, it still feels like a big epic though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like, and that's not to say like that there's too many CGI shots in like the other movies. It's just you just do need them because of what happens in them. Whereas Fellowship is
and there's no like big. Well, there's the flashback big battle, but there's like they're like the action scenes are more like skirmishes, aren't they?
They are, but like it's the end fight in on the top of Amon Hen. Is that like that's the place? I can't remember if
What,
that's
where Boromir dies?
yeah,
Right.
that's the place. But that fight, like you said, is just more of a skirmish. But and there's still ramifications, and there's still like high stakes and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, that fight, again, there's not much CGI, and it's not as grandiose. It does feel quite compact.
Yeah, yeah.
And quite, because it is so real.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of, I suppose the perspective does jump around a bit, but it feels more intimate in that, like, the story being told. It just sort of follows the Fellowship, really, and then it will cut to like we'll cut to Saruman sort of bigging up his Uruk-hai, psyching him up. You know.
Well, you got to do that.
Yeah. You can't. You know,
they're just gonna get to the battle. They're just gonna fall over.
Yeah, exactly. You got to motivate him.
You got to give him a pep talk.
Like, was it Lurtz, isn't it? You know, the one that.
Yeah.
He's like the Jordan. He's like the Michael Jordan. You know, they've got to give him stuff that he can take personally.
Yeah. Got to give him something to get that extra drive out of him. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you know, Aragorn saying he's harder than you. He's like, I do that personally. It's all I needed.
Aragorn's saying that Lurt's trainers suck. Not going to outsell any Adidas. So
Boromir reckons he can beat you at that penny up the wall game.
No, yeah.
That's all I needed.
Oh, yeah. So it does feel like a slightly different movie. I think that's why I like it later on in life, you know?
Yeah. I think I really just love as well the, like, beginning in the Shire, and just like the like contrast with, you know, it's just all love. Well, I mean, it's all, there's a bit of sort of like annoying like neighbours and relatives in Hobbiton, but
which we can relate.
Exactly.
So
you know, there's a lot of sort of like people that definitely voted leave. But it was also like lovely in it, and you know. And you know, just how it begins with them as like part of this community and it's all safe, and then ends up everyone sort of split up but still hopeful, but you know, got this like perilous journey ahead. It's a like just brilliant story, you know. Not that the others aren't, but it's very much so. You begin here, you end here.
Yeah, I mean, it just lays the foundation for the rest of the story, the journey. And this, you know, they have to go through something so full of peril. Yeah. And then I feel like then, you know, like they're all on their own they're all on their different paths, and you know, it lays a great foundation for the stakes and for the emotional connection between you and the characters. Yeah, massively. Like, this film really makes you care. I've got to be honest, like, so first time I remember crying in a cinema for reasons that weren't just a childish tantrum, I imagine, was like Boromir's death. Yeah. It's still amazing. I think it just hits a bit different now, because like, I've watched it twice. Like, I watched it on New Year's Day, I didn't realise the guy's house I was around. Like, my mate was like, oh, I'm going to watch Fellowship of the Ring. I was like, nice one. And then I just watched it again, just like specifically for like this episode. It just hits a bit different, man. Like, I was tearing up at like many scenes during this film. I don't know whether it's just my age or it's like this time of year where you're a bit reflective or whatever, but you know, like how this extended edition has like a proper introduction to the Hobbits. Yes. There's just this where it's like when Bilbo's talking about, you know, there's something to be said about like appreciating the simpler things in life. And there's this shot of like Sam just admiring this like flower that he's and I just started tearing up. Like, we all need to be a bit more like Sam. Oh, 100%. Yeah. And not the Sam on this podcast, god damn it. No. I never praise him like to his face. No, but like Samwise Gamgee, like, do you know what I mean? He's just like, he's just brilliant. And like, I think, so I realised that a lot of stuff that I really like depicts like horrible people. Like, I'm a big fan of like The Sopranos and The Godfather, and like one of my favourite comedies is Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like Scumbags. And like we were talking a bit earlier about how like cynical modern films are, and especially like, just cinema, probably since the year 2000, I think. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I feel like because there's a lot less like fun movies. Yeah, well, just there's like no cinema comedies really anymore. No, yeah,
Yeah, no, there aren't really cinema comedies. They all go to streaming now. But I think that's because
And even that, they're not very good. So,
but I think a lot of, let's be fair, with like comedies on screen, like, I don't know, a lot of comedies I really enjoyed as a teenager are now sort of looking and go, I think it is hard to get it right. But it's so subjective, isn't it, humour? But like, I feel like there's so much like ironic sort of detachment and in like protagonists and stuff, and there's all those like meta stuff. You always like every Ryan Reynolds movie sort of. And he's sort of going, don't care about what's happening. This doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whereas like this was so.
Ryan Reynolds' kind of shtick can be just summarised as wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh, 100%. To the extent where if you were sat next to him in the cinema, you'd be like, my arm actually hurts.
Yeah.
Stop. You've got to stop. Actually reminds me of when I went to see Solo in the cinema with my brother, and every like sort of like clanging reference, me and my brother would turn to each other and start like elbowing each other.
I can see that. And to touch upon that, I agree. And yeah, didn't really need that movie.
No, not at all.
No.
But that's another podcast, I'm sure. Possibly.
100%.
But
maybe around May time.
Yeah, this film is so earnest and beautiful, and like it depicts like good people and like heroic people in such a like genuine and like sort of unpatronising way. And yeah, I think I just was really affected by it. Just like this time around, I think maybe because like everything is the world's always been a bad place, but we're more aware of it than we ever have been.
Yeah.
But
thank you, internet.
Yeah. Oh, great. No more ignorant bliss for me.
Yeah.
But like seeing these characters who have like these strong bonds, and like like Aragon is like, like every like heroes now like are just dicks, and like Aragon is like this. He's like an utter badass, but he's also like really nice guy.
He's soulfully good, I think, and and it's not like sickly as well.
No,
I don't think it could be because of the source material.
Yeah,
but he's just not. We were talking about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who is overtly nice. Again, not necessarily to a sickly point, but where he is just pure.
Yeah.
But there is something that sometimes, from certain fans, they just can't get on board with. Just think it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
too much nice dad energy.
Yeah, nice dad energy, which isn't bad, but just freaks people out.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I do get a bit where it's like, it's weird sometimes for like a young man to have such nice dad energy.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be like, 18, 20, and 22 in these movies.
Yeah, so. Like it's for a 22-year-old to be giving off like you're right, I can give you a lift, kids. It's all right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of that with Aragon.
No.
Aragon's not going to be pulling up in a minivan, offering you a lift. He's just going to be in his like man cave, just sharpening swords.
Oh no, like because I think he'd definitely give you a lift.
Definitely give you a lift?
Yeah, absolutely. Might be the case where he has to be like, you might have to ask him for a lift.
Yeah,
and he might sort of go, oh. But
okay.
I think he'd definitely give you a lift.
Yeah, okay, right.
And also like, I don't know, the man cave. Like, I mean, I think he's too in touch with his like feminine side to really need a man cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you think about it, like the guy just has.
He'd be like in the kitchen cooking up a stew.
Yeah, or just like like him and Arwen. I reckon they're one of those couples that like to socialise together.
Yeah, that then on Sundays, one of them's reading the paper, one of them's doing the crossword.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just occasionally just looking up and just sort of like having a little smile, a little nod.
Cup of elven grog.
Yeah,
or tea, or just
Arwen. Like if Arwen's not wondering if as much she loves him, if she's not thinking maybe I should have stayed immortal. Then if she's not thinking that, then Aragon's thinking. Is she thinking that she should have stayed immortal? Although joking aside,
yeah,
I think it's like one of the most beautiful love stories of all time. Just the idea of like just giving up your immortality for someone. That
is. I mean, he's captured it well in terms of, how much would you sacrifice for a person?
Yeah,
I don't think there's any more that you can do. Saying like I could live forever.
Yeah.
if I was not to be with you.
Yeah, in like a
I
sort of,
mean,
yeah, and it's kind of like where they're going to, like, I can't remember what they call it now.
the Undying Lands.
Yeah, that is like, so it's basically like they're going to like a heaven sort of state,
Yeah.
and she's like denying herself that to be with him.
I think it is heavily implied, not heavenly implied, heavily implied that the Undying Lands, you do die.
Yeah,
but you like go to heaven.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, which I always thought to myself, I was like, just rename it.
Yeah.
Let's just not get it confused. Let's just avoid confusion. You know,
especially because the death is a bit painful. And like,
yeah,
Frodo's like, what? No.
Because I don't know what happens, but obviously there's theories. Not to get too technical about these things.
Yeah.
But I feel like one depiction is like, because it's they go on a boat, don't they?
Yeah.
Over a sea. That they like just drop off the world. And I was just like, that's so morbid.
That makes it seem more like a doomsday cult.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
They get on board like, oh, I mean, why are we wearing these matching tracksuits? Like,
I mean, they all, all the elves look this. Wow, that's a bit racist, but like
all the dwarf over here.
All the elves dress the same. Sorry, they don't look the same.
They do dress similar. And
so maybe they are like, and I can see the elves starting a cult.
Yeah,
because they already seem like one a bit.
Now everyone enjoy this Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Drink this stuff from the mirror water. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Everyone's got like cult leader vibes a bit.
He's definitely got cult leader vibes. Galadriel, she's a really beautiful one who entices all the men in.
Yeah.
She literally does. She entices all the.
She does. She cures Gimli of racism.
Yeah, I know, right? It's mental because dwarves are really racist.
They are. Well, so are hobbits though.
Yeah.
No, not hobbits. Sorry, elves.
Elves, yeah.
No,
no, that's what I mean. Yeah. Dwarves and elves, they're both.
It's a mutual racism. And I like it.
I don't think it necessarily cancels each other out.
No. It's very much
two wrongs make a
bigger wrong.
Make a not wrong.
No. Two wrongs in this case definitely make a big bowl of wrong.
A mirror soup bowl just in the forest of wrong.
It's what were we saying? The bread,
Lambus bread.
Freshly baked lambus bread of wrong. But I like, you don't get to see their friendship blossom really until the second one, Legolas and Gimli. But I do really like it in this where, Gimli's being like, I bloody love Galadriel. And like Legolas is like rowing along and he looks at Gimli and he's like, actually, you're all right.
Yeah. If you can love one of my own,
yeah,
I can forgive you of your racist sins. No, I don't. It's not that deep, but I don't know.
I think it's sort of making a point about people needing to put.
Of course.
Yeah,
I don't think that. I don't think it's like so heavy on that. It's just people are different from you. Maybe you'll learn to like them.
Yeah.
It's a good exchange between them.
Absolutely. I just feel like the morals in this, and like I'm not really someone who necessarily needs like. Moral lessons or whatever.
Yeah, not loads of moral lessons. Even though there's a lot in Lord of the Rings, and you're just like, they do pull it off.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously you don't want it to be like, and now like Aragorn explaining why you shouldn't let her. But like, I don't know. I just feel like this film is like represents like it sounds really lame to be like, it's just nice people being, but like it's just like people really trying to do what's right.
Yeah.
When you can pull that off and not make it cheesy, I just find it. And it's very rare to do and very hard.
Chef's kiss.
100%.
Everything
looks fantastic.
I mean, I was going to get to the look of the film. I did say that obviously it has a slight tonal difference, but just the visuals across the board are just, you can tell why it cost so much for the time, and like they really went all in because there is, so much room for error and so much room for phoning it in.
Yeah.
Because you can agree to make a Lord of the Rings movie and then be saying, yeah, but we're only going to give you like this much budget, and you're going to have to do it on, this shoestring, and you have to cut this out.
Yeah.
Because budgetary reasons,
or depending who is like in charge, like you got to add some sex.
Yeah, and then Peter Jackson was an unknown at that time.
Well, I think he had like a following.
Yeah.
Well, so basically, he made like these like crazy sort of low budget, like sort of gross out really sort of horror movies in New Zealand, and then he sort of won like and was taken seriously sort of acclaim for a drama. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like Kate Winslet and a woman, I think her name's Melanie Linsky. She went on to play the like crazy neighbour in Two and a Half Men, but she's actually like a really good actor.
Oh, I know who you mean.
Yeah, they're like it's like a true story about like two sort of I think maybe Victorian era. Or a bit later than that, maybe like World War One, something like that. But like these two teenage girls are like fall in love, and like they end up sort of murdering like at least one of their sort of parents, and like that run him like a lot of acclaim. That was like his sort of the film that sort of got him taken seriously.
Yep.
And then he made like, but yeah, it wasn't like a big name.
I was going to say you need for look at the project. It's 3 movies back to back.
Yeah. I mean,
with a gigantic budget for the time.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. It's still like crazy.
A huge risk.
Yeah. But like it wasn't
pulled it off, obviously.
Yeah. But like it wasn't like he's like fresh out of film school.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But for them to do it for someone who's got
fucking
one
brass balls,
one serious film under his belt.
Yeah.
He must have done one hell of a pitch.
Yeah. I think I mean, obviously knows the material.
Oh, inside out. Yeah.
And
obviously, he has taken material that didn't make it to the actual movies, even the extended edition. I don't feel like I'm not. Again, I haven't read 2 of the 3 books, so
you're an ending man.
So I don't know all of the material that wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But I don't hear outcry from the community of Lord of the Rings fans being like, him not having this is a tragedy. Like it's absolutely ruins the films.
The only thing I ever really hear about is people wanting to see Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
And even then, I think they're kind of joking.
Yeah, I feel like at this point you got to be.
Yeah. I've read about Tom Bombadil just being like, what's the big fuss? And it just sounds like, like this guy.
Also, may not have worked in the movie, so let's just not.
Yeah, and but like you're right, it's a massive risk. Although now it's like the norm for like, oh, you made a well-received independent film.
Yeah, now. In the late 90s.
No way.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
Also, I think but the thing is, I think like the sort of real trick up of his sleeve is being like from New Zealand, knowing the like country.
Yes.
And sort of being able to be like,
we're shooting this shit here. Yeah.
And I think that really probably helped. Apparently, when he pitched it, it was like, oh yeah, so we'll film like the two films together, and then his first one does well, like we can film the third one, and they were like, yeah, we could just do all 3 together. And he was like, okay,
yeah. That's even better, yeah. And I think that was the best way to do it, because obviously you have the cast and the same crew, and it all. I might have spent the better part of 20 minutes trying to say that the Fellowship of the Ring feels different to the other 2, but for mainly CGI and effects and editing reasons, not shooting reasons. But for you to have that flow from one to the other, the consistency is there. Some films you can shoot. Even if it's 1 or 2 years later, and it can feel different.
Yeah.
I can't really think of too many examples, but maybe I'm thinking maybe some sequels in the MCU are like obviously people age. That's just how this, terrible piece of humanity works. But like people do change, and you're like, oh, this feels a little bit off. It's sequels of films that have just come out, and you're just like, oh, this is a bit too much different to the other.
Obviously, it's not his fault, but like you can really tell, like from Star Wars to Empire.
Oh yeah,
Mark Hamill has been through a car crash.
I mean,
like not to,
his face looks different.
Yeah, I don't want to be like disrespectful, but like it's it just.
And I would say that, and then I know. That would be a good example, is going from Star Wars to Empire. Like, if they had said you get a shoestring budget for Fellowship, and then like with Empire, it's like it was such a success, Star Wars.
Yeah,
that you could tell the budget was increased like so much, and for that to happen with Lord of the Rings would have been a little bit jarring. I think it's still in his hands. He would have pulled it off, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it would have been such a great flow between the films.
It was such a 3 years of just like, oh, it's a fucking awesome film coming out in December. It was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Especially after the first one, you're thinking, I've got 2 more Christmases like this.
Yeah.
Brilliant. you know?
Absolutely. God, it was good. You lot don't know you were born. No, because a friend of mine was saying he had some memory of like going to see it, and he was like, because I remember it was like before, just like last day of term, like summer holidays, and I was like, it wouldn't have been summer holidays, my friend, because I know they came out in December.
Yeah.
But I thought, no need to.
Let's
No
not
need to
get into it.
Yeah.
The movie's just kind of, especially with this one. We were just like the perfect age for it piquing our interest,
Yeah, I mean, before you know it, I had the top trumps.
Did you? Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, at least I think I can't even remember if I had them or whether I was just like playing top trumps a lot with people that did.
I mean, there was a period of time for our generation
Yeah.
where like top trumps came in all varieties, like whatever you could think of, and loads of people just had different ones.
Yeah, and
I wonder if top trumps are still going strong.
they are. I saw some the
Are
other
they?
day, and I was like, oh, I wonder if there's one where I could sort of tempt me to get them. And,
Honestly, with kids having iPads, I can't imagine a kid's being like, "Can I have this?" And it being a bunch of I don't know,
cards.
TikToker top trumps. Like
I
terrible manipulative YouTube creator top trumps. I don't know.
people were trying to like steal your kids' minds.
Yeah.
Top trumps. And
Metaverse top trumps.
But like, I remember thinking, I had a look to see if there was any category that would make me think like, oh, get some top trumps. To have a bit of like, oh guys, I've got some top trumps. Remember these?
Yeah.
Be a real hit at whatever get together I'm at next.
Nice.
But
Nothing tickled your pickle?
nothing tickled me. I mean, I saw there was like WWE ones. I was like, no thanks. No, that ship sailed.
The only one
I
know this is probably not a category.
Yeah.
But for somehow I vividly remember someone I know having like top trumps which included an Apache helicopter. So I'm only imagining that comes in like military hardware top trumps.
That is disturbing. The idea, like, just get them used to these sort of vehicles now.
Yeah, either that or just like helicopter top trumps. It's such a niche. What?
Kids love helicopters.
Yeah, that's true.
Is there, because there's like 30 in a pack in there, so it's like, are there 30 different types of helicopter?
Oh, well, that's definitely got to be 30. But they are so obscure. You'll get down to like that little single seater, like in one of those James Bond movies. I can't remember which one it was.
Or like the helicopter that's in like the third Mad Max film, where it's basically just like a seat with a propeller.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I vividly remember is that like they sort of run out of characters for the Fellowship. And like the first set of top trumps, and so one of like there's a top trump card for the landlord of the Prancing Pony.
Nice. Isn't that what's his name? What's his name? Guy who plays the caretaker in Harry Potter.
Don't think so.
No,
David Bradley.
Yeah,
don't think it's him.
Oh, you mean like the in the pub?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like the guy who's like Gandalf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, seen him 6 months back.
I thought you meant like the gatekeeper of like the town.
Oh,
where he opens the door and then
he gets like literally flattened.
Talk a strange folk abroad.
Yeah.
That is.
Is that?
Yeah,
that's cool. He's had a great run, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That always made me. If you got that one, you were like, for fuck's sake.
The most untop Trumpy card.
Yeah, like
can't win in any because most cards can kind of win or compete in most categories.
Yeah,
I imagine that one just being like it's. You look at the card, it's got his face on it, and then it's got all like the stat lines, and it's just like the shrug emoji. It's just like
that's what it was invented.
Just like, I don't know, like
it's secret. Like you just got it out, and you just hear like wah wah.
Yeah, that was just like, that's it.
I mean, there's got to be one more character, like like, not this, but landlord from the Prancing Pony. Like,
yeah.
Obviously not that.
I don't know, like there's loads of like characters in the background. I don't know,
Yeah.
like Rosie, I guess. Was she in it?
She'd score high on the sexiness.
Yeah.
Was it
I was wondering where this was going. I was just like, am I going to have to cut this bit out?
ability to know her idiots?
Okay,
that's
got it.
great. That's great. I love that. She knows an idiot when she sees one. And Sam's face is sort of like, does she? Oh no!
So worried.
Yeah.
Lovely.
But I do know that feeling. Like, oh no, they're going to clock I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So
her intelligence meter would be like the highest.
Yeah,
nice,
absolutely.
lovely.
It's so sweet. The stuff like before Bilbo leaves of like her obviously being quite keen and him sort of being far too bashful and sort of self-doubting to really go for it.
And then he has to go through probably one of the most grueling character developments of all time.
Yeah.
To get back to someone who was already like, do you want to go to the dance or Bilbo's birthday or whatever?
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
I mean, she's not hard.
I mean, there's a lot. Like, you could have done a lot less.
Oh yeah, Rosie. I literally carried my friend up a mountain and saw him get his finger bitten off. But and I've killed some orcs. But do you want to get a drink?
She's like, after all that, no. That sounds horrific.
Can you promise that Frodo won't be there? The 1,000-yard stare he's developed since going back is a real mood kill. I tell you what, man. Like,
does he have to sit in the corner of the room though? Like, it just makes it just.
I mean, the sadness is just irradiating from it.
Infinite sadness.
It's so sad, isn't it? Like,
obviously,
I think
if it wasn't called Lord of the Rings, it'd be called The Destroying of Hobbits. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. It makes 3 of them, really. Like,
makes 3 of them, kills 1.
Yeah.
Like
Frodo, like he's such a nice, like happy young guy. At the start of this one, and knowing what's going to happen to him was just so sad. I love it, and I tell you what, Gandalf, when he comes into the Shire at the start, I don't know if there's a character who's ever brought more positive vibes. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got a good way about him, good energy. Like
he does, and he's not like a bumbling buffoon wizard.
No,
like how Radagast is played in the Hobbits.
Mate. No.
Where he's just like
he's got bird shit in his hair.
Yeah, a bumbling idiot who's a wizard.
Yeah, he
like
too many mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could have gone like that. I know the character is well written in the book enough that no one would ever try to play it that way.
Yeah, but you could. But
they could have if the film was taking a bit of a slight deviation of direction.
Yeah, you could see a studio going, make him more kid friendly.
Yeah. But it basically make him, as if, people are going to dress up at, like, birthday parties.
Yeah.
Kind of wizardy clown, if anything,
Yeah.
That face, just like, ugh.
Especially that, you can just
no
imagine,
thanks.
Yeah. You can just imagine as well a producer being like, oh, he brings fireworks. Oh, he's, like, really fun. Like,
so he's like a birthday clown, but for universe. And everyone is just there on set, just like, no.
No. He's, he's fucking great, Gandalf. Like, I saw this video pop up on, like, recommended on YouTube saying, like Gandalf, what is this power set? And I was like, I don't want to know. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
stop breaking it down to the last molecule.
Yeah, it's like, often I want to know when, like, characters have, like, a specific power. I want to know what that is and what they're capable of.
Yeah, because sometimes characters can just pull out superpowers from their ass.
Yeah.
I'm talking Captain Marvel at this point.
Well, Well, that's what she goes. That's why she fucks off for so long.
Another gigantic can of space worms we're not going to open yet.
Okay, no worries.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Where you're just like, I do want to know what their kind of limitations are.
Yeah, and also like I feel like I hate to always use MCU as an example, but like
it is just so prevalent right now. Like there is nothing to compare it to, but it is a good example of a lot of things.
Yeah, which that friend of mine pointed out.
Good and bad.
Yeah, a friend of mine who sort of like can take or leave them pointed out something that really annoyed him, where like it feels like they never agreed on like how hard someone can punch. Do you know what I mean? Like it's sort of their strength level just seems to vary from like fight to fight, scene to scene, film to film. But like I like how you don't really necessarily know the full extent of what a wizard's capable of.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're sort of, I think there's only like 4 wizards
at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and like they're sort of meant to be like higher beings. and like almost sort of angel sort of figures. And it's like that he sort of just seems more in touch with the world.
You'd think an angel could wash the bird shit out of his hair, though.
Yeah, you'd like to think so.
Apparently not in The Hobbit.
Well, it depends if it's Old Testament or New Testament.
Yeah. with I can understand what you mean. One of the things we have talked about on this podcast.
Wait, sorry, I just went blank there. I did clarify that I am glad not knowing.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool.
Sometimes I go to make a point and then sort of I accidentally contradict myself. Glad I haven't done that.
But the one thing that we have talked about is what happens in Black Widow, where so many things that would kill a human being happen to
or at least
Natasha and her sister,
or at least just break their arm.
Yeah, and they just like walk away.
Yeah, and I'm thinking she's the human Avenger.
Yeah.
Well, she's not, is she?
No, well,
yeah,
she's dead now. So
well, no, yeah, great, yeah.
But
God, that was a fucking clusterfuck. That was, wasn't it?
But the so it's a little bit like I do want to know a little bit of what they're capable of, but don't insult my intelligence.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm happy just sort of like find. Oh, we can do that.
Finding out.
Yeah.
But it's again, that's a loose comparison, probably a bad comparison, but it's just something that is just a bit like if you're explaining to me that he's a wizard and he's like very powerful, I'm going to expect there to be some show of that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just going to be like, oh, he's just he just makes fireworks up here and stuff.
But like, I'm glad it's not sort of like.
Well, it would be trivial to just explain it, and how would you? And I mean, because it's a book and there's the source material, like you want to keep quite close to it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't say that in the books, like if it doesn't say like, oh, Frodo says to Sam, these are a list of Gandalf's powers, and it's just like, that would be such a terrible like page of a book.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, right, I'll skip this one.
Beautifully written though.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And at the bottom they'd have everything that was said by the hobbits translated into Elvish for no reason.
Which is just one of the that's just one of many languages that was invented for these stories. Think of J.R.R. Tolkien, right? It's like, you know how when a writer is very, very talented, you describe them as genius.
Yeah.
Well, he is like obviously a genius writer, but is also an actual genius.
Yeah.
He's like an expert in history and language and like stuff.
Which is crazy that you would. I know that like, he obviously, out of everything that he could do, he thought to himself, "I want to write this story."
Yeah.
It's mad that he just didn't just go into like academia.
Yeah.
And like not publish and not like, you know what I mean? Like you would have to have so much patience and dedication to just plow through.
Yeah.
It took him years. And it is quite not. I'm not going to say it's a miracle. It's just it's so lucky that he didn't at some point just go, this is quite a bit. I'm just going to get a job. That's just.
Well, he was like a professor, wasn't he?
I mean, for him to just think, I'm just going to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it would have been so easy for someone to who is of that intelligence to do so.
Yeah.
And instead of I think it is just a testament to kind of perseverance.
Yeah, and his like passion for it.
Yeah. Because this is coming obviously from a piece of me that's just like I don't even slightly have any that level of perseverance. So obviously in my mind I'd be like, just quit.
Yeah. I just can't even imagine being like, you've made up a language.
Yeah.
You've made up several languages. I can speak one badly. He's one of those people where I just imagine like if I met him I'd just be like, no, can't. This conversation can't happen. You're a higher being. Yeah, just
too intelligent for me. Like, and I'll admit it, and I'll be the one who's identified that.
Yeah. It's like. That's why he was able to write the elves, isn't it? Because like they are like higher beings, isn't it? So like, I really appreciate that watching it this time, and it really made me annoyed at that bit in. I know in The Hobbit, like the whole thing is told from the perspective of the dwarves, but it really annoys me when they go to. Is it where do they go? Do they go to Elrond's place in?
They do, yeah.
Yeah. They've got them like playing like panpipes and stuff, like the elves in that, and it just seems like a real parody of the elves.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Yeah, and that it made me like annoyed at that, because in this like watching it this time, I think maybe just because of the extended material really helps. You do get the sense of like the elves are like sort of higher beings, you know. I like the way they seem to process things differently. Like, you know, in Gandalf, when they think he's dead, well, he's dead, but you know what I mean. When they're in wherever Galadriel hangs out, like
the Elven Forest. I can't remember what it's called. Lothlorien.
yeah. You know, they're like singing like a like tribute to Gandalf.
Yes.
And like Legolas is like, oh, they're like, what are they saying? And like Legolas is like, I haven't heart to tell you. Like for me, the grief is still too near. It's just like really interesting, like that they're processing. He's like able to just sort of identify his emotions like that, and is obviously feeling it, but is able to sort of describe it like that. It could so easily be shit.
Oh yeah, I know.
What I'm trying to say, like, and I think I'm making it sound shit, but it's actually very good.
No, you're right. Where it's again, you just can't understate how much effort not only went into the books, and that's a well-known fact.
Yeah.
But then for you to emulate it and do that with the movies is kind of like doubling down on how crazy detailed you have to be.
Yeah.
And then there are so many moments in this film which, unless you watch it again and again, like a lot of fans do, like there's millions out there. So for you know, there'll be stuff that I'll watch next time, and then I'll think I didn't even notice that the first 10.
Yeah.
That happens quite frequently with the Lord of the Rings movies. And there'll be the less grandiose moments. There'll be the less, you know, like the less actiony moments. You know, it's more just like the acting. Like I know, obviously, it's won tons of Oscars, but the acting in it is just like there's no fault in it.
No, it's brilliant, and everyone is convincing. And like, well, watching it this time, I've always thought like Boromir's death. I know Harry spoke a lot about how much he like loves that scene in the previous Lord of the Rings episode. But like, I do think it's like one of the best scenes ever.
Yeah.
And this time around, I really appreciated how I always liked Boromir. I thought it was really tragic, and like, I love that he redeems himself like as he dies. Maybe it's the Catholic upbringing that sort of has enforced that sort of love of like sort of tragic redemption in me.
Yeah.
But like, you really get the sense watching it this time and like with the extended version, Boromir's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
And like he really cares about the hobbits. I mean, he very patronisingly calls them like little ones and stuff. And like, if you were a hobbit, you'd have to speak to Gandalf, like, could you tell him to stop calling me like little one? But like, he really cares about them. Like, you know, when they're going through the mountains and they decide to go to Moria, and like, he's like, it would be the death of the hobbits. Like, and, you know, he's so desperate for them to, like, you know, Merry and Pippin, he's like desperate to save them when it all goes down. And like, you know, when they lose Gandalf, he's like, God, give them a minute, man. Like, you know, he really cares about them. And he tries to comfort Frodo, and it just really hammered home what a fucking tragedy it is that like he has that moment of weakness.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good image of just like your like one small slip, it can affect you, and like can affect what people think of you as well. You know, like especially early viewings of it when I was a lot younger. You are a little bit more in the thinking that Boromir like goes dark.
Yeah.
But then the more you watch it, the more you pick up on like all the good bits prior to it.
Yeah.
Which just ultimately makes it more tragic.
Yeah, massively. It's like I think the last bit of dialogue he has with Frodo before he's like tries to take the ring from him is when he's like, "Oh, Gandalf's death wasn't in vain. Like, you carried too much weight already. Don't carry like
the ring as well."
Yeah. Like he's a good egg, and it's and honestly, I think Sean Bean should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Excellent performance.
Yeah,
and I love his like the instant regret, and like, also the lack of ego, because he's literally like crawling around in like leaves.
Yeah,
and he's really got that sort of thing of like when someone wakes up from like a heavy night and realises they've done something really terrible, like that sort of shame, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the There's several parts to the movie which, it's one of those films that has as much as people will say, it's this is a trope with all the Lord of the Rings movies that they are long movies. They are still well woven, and they're tight knit. Like
Yeah.
there's no guff.
No.
There's no filler.
No.
I mean,
it's all killer.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's and that's surprising. And when it goes through its stages, from the early beginnings where everything is, more colourful, more well saturated, and then it like kind of the realism of like the task at hand, kind of takes some of the colour out of the movie.
Yeah.
I really like the once Aragorn as Strider is introduced.
Yeah.
It's a real turning point of the movie.
Yeah. It's one of my favourite scenes. Is the what would you call it?
The ring wraiths?
Yeah. Well, the ring wraiths in general. Every scene they're in is like fucking great.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I think that's another reason I really like this one is because I do like horror and there's a lot of like scary scenes.
Yeah.
I feel like more so than the others.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the initial perspective, of course, is from like Frodo and the hobbits.
And they're so vulnerable.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, because of who they are and what they possess and stuff.
Well, what I was saying about how like the elves they are really convincing as like higher beings. Because like how they all kind of react differently to like meeting Galadriel. And there is that thing of like the sort of they all kind of feel she's sort of speaking to them all in their head, and they're all kind of like having like an emotional response to it, and like you kind of get the feeling maybe they can't really put their finger on it. It's all something you can't really comprehend, and like I kind of like that. There's like two scenes where you can just see the ring wraiths like interact with people, where they sort of go like Shia or whatever, and he goes like that way, and he's just so everyone who encounters them instantly knows they're like pure evil.
Yeah, of course.
It's not just that they're intimidating. It's like that your man from Top Trumps, the the landlord, like he's just like hid behind the bar. He just seems like he's like praying.
Yes.
When they burst through, it's so scary.
Yeah.
And just like them stabbing what do you call it? A freak, force out. Like a, they make you think it's a misdirect, isn't it? They make you think they're stabbing the hobbits, but he's got
a fake out.
Yeah, fake out.
Yeah, fake out.
Fake out. Yeah, that's
good. I don't know if is that in the books. I don't know if that's
no idea. But it's cool, isn't it?
It is cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and also just shows like Aragorn's smart. He's not just hard.
Yeah.
But
yes, it's the ring wraiths are like as a big evil for that movie. Yeah, really good. And like I said, because it is quite a little bit more grounded. There's no like big battle at the end.
Yeah.
It's these little things that build up to the eventuality, that give it a little bit more emotional grounding, because these things that they've gone through have been filmed and depicted in like a realistic way.
Yeah.
That when it gets to the bits that are tiny bit more like fantastical in terms of like scale.
Yeah, or like grander.
It's like you've gone through these I'd say like street level things.
Like we could like the idea of like you and your friends
that builds up to
like the idea of you and your friends being like chased through a wood.
Yeah.
Is like
it's just scary.
Yeah. And like it's something that I think we've all at some point been in a wood with our friends and gotten freaked out.
Oh yeah.
Probably just freaked ourselves out through like
I thought you were about to say and been chased. I'm like you need to tell a story. Because I don't think I've been chased through it.
Tell the police.
ran through a woods because you just freak yourself out.
Yeah.
From watching The Fellowship of the Ring too much.
Yeah. When like you're with like three of your mates and there's like
one of you's got a powerful ring.
Yeah, and there's like this eyeless kind of like former man just sort of like trying to sniff you out.
Basically, what looks like the ghost of Christmas Past and his mates, the ghosts from Christmas Past.
Yeah.
Who have all got swords for some reason.
Yeah, actually, we were saying about how everyone's like terrified of them. Yeah. When they are hid, in that like with that ridge, and he's like trying to sniff them out, you can see like and all like the like worms and stuff.
Yeah, they're like, trying to escape.
Yeah, that's fucking brilliant.
Such a good attention to detail.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why, I always like that when there's a close-up of like the ring in someone's hand, you see the dirt.
Yeah.
Another great detail, Gandalf never bring himself to like touch the ring.
No.
Because he knows he'll be like, oh yeah, I can just put it on and then I'll be, like when he he like leaves it on the floor till Frodo gets there.
Yeah.
And then like just sort of puts it in the envelope in like really awkwardly.
Yeah.
I love that detail, and just his always freaked me out as a kid. You know, when like he bursts out of the shadow, like, is it secret? Is it safe?
Yeah.
Amazing scene.
Great scene.
Yeah.
Go back to where the ring wraiths are trying to find Frodo and the hobbits. Probably up there with like one of the best uses of the dolly zoom.
Right.
The I want to call it the vertigo shot because that's like one of the most famous uses of it, where like it zooms in, but then like tracks back. Is that correct? It might be the other way around. You know, like in Jaws when it zooms in, but like tracks back on the sheriff.
Yeah, they're tracking back. Like you track the camera back, but you
zoom in.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
When they, I think they can hear the ring wraiths at that point. They hear them, and then like it has a look down the lane, down the path.
Yeah.
And it basically does. They do the dolly zoom there, like the realization that like something's close, something's coming. That induce of like panic.
Yeah.
You know, again they use it in Vertigo for like trying to simulate the.
He's going mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched Vertigo over lockdown while exercising, and great film. Really like fucking disturbing. So like, I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like covered in sweat, and I've not got any of those endorphins because I'm just sort of like, oh my god.
Brilliant.
Aaron. So apparently, in the book, it's another elf who saves Frodo.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Brilliant bit of adaptation, I think.
Obviously.
Really makes me like care about her.
Yeah.
And that's another thing when I think maybe I was a bit hungover. Like I hadn't had a heavy New Year's Eve, but New Year's Day when I was watching it with my mate, and he went because when she's like, no, Frodo, no. He's like, why does she care so much at this point? And I just went, and like my dad has I think it's a medical condition, but basically his voice cracks when there's any kind of sentimental moment in a film.
Right.
And I think maybe I'm developing as I get older, but my voice cracks. I said it. I was like, because she's good.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's just more let a man down, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But great scene. But you know when Harry introduces her, where like there's a blade at Aragorn's neck, and like what's a ranger doing out here? Like, or I think if she didn't clock, I reckon she didn't clock like the seriousness of the situation, and I think she was just about to instigate like a kinky sex game.
I mean,
the vibe is very much there.
You've seen it in other like media or other films where you know it's just like, oh, you know, we're gonna get down to it, but let's go with this.
I reckon he's probably,
and then he's just like, no,
no,
like I've got like a dying halfling that's been stabbed by a ring wraith. It could not get any more serious.
Yeah, this could not be worse.
Let's just put a tiny little pin in this. Like, let's just pause
but really quick.
How long do you think it would take for you to get him to Rivendell to your father? And she's just like, I don't know, like 10 hours. And he's just like, how about 10 hours and 15 minutes?
10 hours and 2 minutes later. Nah, to be fair, she's given up her immortality. There's no way it's just lasting 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. She's like, yeah, so I'm gonna get the boat. After that interaction, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna take him to Rivendell. They're like, yeah, I'm then gonna go to the
Sorry, that
Undying
never
Lands.
normally happens. No, it's fine. Yeah, no, it happens a little bit. Yeah, gonna go to the Undying Lands.
Yeah, so what's Legolas doing at this point? I've got to go send a carrier dove to Lothlorien. Anyway, I'm just going on a bit of a tangent. It's that's a good change.
Because that is iconic. Like, I think it was one of those things
that
instantly became iconic. You know, that if you want him, come and claim him.
Yeah. I feel like that was either in like the trailers.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, one of the you know, kind of pictures that stay in your mind of like what they were advertising for the movie.
Yeah. And like the water does take the form of like a horse, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It looks so cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realise, but I mean, I must have known at the time, but like forgotten it. But you know, after he's been stabbed, he's becoming a ring wraith. Imagine if he had become a ring wraith, and then the ring wraiths just had this little one
Yeah.
that like just I don't know sat on one of their shoulders and just like, like
He always had to be on a horse, or, like, and that still only makes him like the right size. Or imagine he was a ring wraith and he was flying on like a Nazgul. He just looks like a Tic Tac on a dog.
Well, they just like carry him in their mouth by his cloak and like drop him.
Yeah.
It's handy for getting him in all those like hard to reach places that a ring.
They have to get to?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like chasing a hobbit down
I just
behind a dishwasher.
I'm just imagining they just make him do all the chores at like Minas Morgul.
Yeah, definitely.
Of all the little like nooks and crannies that they can't really get to clean.
Oh my god, that would be a nightmare.
I know. Just orc feces everywhere.
We have bathrooms. We have bathrooms, guys.
They're called troughs, all right? Anyway. Oh, the Mines of Moria stuff is
so good.
So good.
Yeah. Like it did kind of make me laugh though, just like the thought of it. Like it's terrifying, but just it looks like something really bad's happening here. I'm just gonna pick up this journal and read the most terrifying thing you've ever heard.
I'm just imagining, just if you're just completely clueless, you're just looking around, just like, oh, they all died of natural causes. Just they all had arrows in their necks. And then you, like you said, you pick up the book. It's just like, I'm sure this will be a light-hearted yarn.
Yeah.
Oh, the drums.
Yeah.
They're coming. Okay.
So there we go.
Seems a bit erotic for me. It just closes it.
Bit rich for my taste.
But I mean, it is such a weird thing where you don't, as a kid you don't realize like kind of how dangerous that would be.
Yeah.
Where you're going underground and you're going with someone who kind of knows the way, and then with someone who kind of knows the way
and someone
but doesn't.
Who's emotionally attached to all
the
dead people.
Yeah, I know. And then also when you've had the entrance closed behind you, you've got no choice.
No.
So it's like
that is so fucked.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Also, we got like barely any food or water.
Yeah.
So and we're just gonna try and trek through this.
How long is it? It says how long it is, and it's fucking
weeks. They
Jesus
say.
Christ!
Imagine that, just being weeks underground. Wouldn't you have like a vitamin deficiency?
Yeah, probably, but they're all a bit mad.
It's all right. It's a fantasy land.
That's why Boromir succums to the ring.
Yeah,
vitamin deficiency.
He literally is a sun worshipper, and he hasn't seen the sun in 3 weeks.
Give me the ring. Because obviously the hobbits, dwarf, elf, Aragorn's got like some elvish heritage. Boromir's a still man. Got all the frailties of one.
Yeah,
needs his son. Needs that vitamin D.
He does.
Maybe Gandalf probably carries some multivitamins with him in it.
Oh yeah, of course, under the hat.
Yeah.
But again, you don't realise it until later on in life. You're just like you'd be stuck underground for like weeks. Like that sounds like hell.
I don't even like potholing, mate.
No.
No, thank you.
And then
above surface for me.
And then there's just a giant devil demon.
Yeah.
With a whip. Like nice. Yeah. Okay. As if things weren't already bleak.
And they have a cave troll.
Oh yeah.
That's a fucking great moment as well.
That is a great moment.
I also love that they like break. There's a few moments of like them smashing through the doors. You know what I mean? It's not an instant sort of onslaught.
Yeah.
Also love that all these guys, besides like the hobbits, that's kind of what makes them so brave. And it's great whenever they jump into a battle. It's always like really like stirring. I think they're all like badasses, and like in the case of like Legolas and a little bit Aragorn, like they're super powered. But these fights do feel really intense, and that they're fighting for their lives.
Yeah, there's a lot of desperation and just trying to swing at everything.
Absolutely.
There's no real plan.
Yeah.
It's just swing.
Yeah, and like Aragorn, like a lot of the shouts and stuff that he's like letting out, they don't sound like cool. They just sound like sort of like fucking come on.
Just like desperation. Yeah. Jesus.
And I'd love that, and it gives such a, even though these guys are like ridiculously badass, it gives such a sense of danger.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that lacks in a lot of films.
Sense of like this could be it.
Yeah. Like I watched a video on YouTube where these two like psychologists, or one psychologist and his mate, were discussing how like Aragon is like he's like the sort of ultimate sort of masculine hero, but he hasn't got any like he's not like toxic. There's no like toxic masculinity with him, and he's so like he's just sort of so open with his emotions.
Yeah, very.
And I read that someone who auditioned for the role was none other than family man himself, Vin Diesel. I can't imagine there would have been much of.
Could you imagine
the ego of the man? Like, I mean, I don't particularly rate him as an actor. I might be wrong. Maybe he's really good, but I haven't seen the right stuff. But I mean, he's not a good choice. But just there's no way. Like, when he's like holding Gimli, so sort of like not Gimli, Boromir, so like tenderly at the end, using that little kiss on the forehead and that. Vin Diesel will just be like, yeah, well, I'm also really cool.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna like it's gonna be a peck. It's like, and then like I've got to go.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a little fist bump, or his
a little fist bump. So it's just his dead hand, just fist bump.
But like instead of saying like I don't know what weakness is. Instead of saying like I don't know what weakness is in me or strength is like in my blood, but. I will I will like set our people free. Something along those lines. I'm not getting the line right, but it's what Aragorn says to Boromir, and then Boromir's like our people, and then gives that brilliant like my brother, my captain, my king.
Yeah.
I reckon like they're doing rehearsals, and Vin Diesel's like, what if I just say we're family?
Yeah. God, I do hear stories of like certain actors who auditioned for Aragorn, and I'm just like, that would have been the worst.
Yeah,
and then each one just gets worse.
Yeah,
I feel like you've just topped it by having Vin Diesel audition. That would just be fucking it just would be rubbish.
Yeah.
And would have been like like that domino meme or just the domino effect.
Yeah.
So like where it's like the bigger dominoes, and it was just like. The very first one is Vin Diesel playing Aragorn, and it would just been like the last, like the giant domino would have been just like an existential crisis in cinema, just like the end of cinema, just like as we know it.
It'd be like the exact opposite of how we go like, oh yeah, it really sort of like goes up a notch once they go into like the prancing pony and meet Strider. Everything else would be like, yeah, no, it's really good, and then. When they get to that pub,
it's just really kind of. It had so much potential.
Yeah,
with the opening montage.
And there was just that mumbling dickhead.
Yeah, and then there was just Dominic Toretto for some reason.
Why is he drinking a Corona in the prancing?
Why is he just wearing a wife beater?
Why is he calling them families? I just met them.
Yeah, God.
But his Aragorn's. Sorry, I'm just sort of crushing on Aragorn, but he's just such a great guy.
Yeah,
and like I know it sounds like ridiculous to say, like just talking about a fictional character like that, but it's just so refreshing to see like a legit hero who isn't sort of like, oh, but I can't let anyone get close to me. Like I'm a badass.
Yeah,
it's just
literally
really
you just sounded like Mac from Always Sunny, where it's just, when they say they're a badass, but like. They're quite clearly not.
Yeah.
Just like, I can't let anyone get close to me because I lost someone. And it's just like, yeah, right. I mean, doesn't everyone lose someone?
Yeah.
That's not to say don't be sad.
No. Yeah, 100%.
That's a completely opposite. Be sad.
Aragorn's pro being sad.
Yeah.
He's like, that's what I was saying why he wouldn't have a man cave. Like, in this extended edition, like Frodo wakes up.
Yeah, where he has a man cave. Joking.
When he wears that T-shirt that says "This is what feminist looks like." No, but when he's just sort of having a little sing,
and
Frodo's like, "Oh, who are you singing about?" And he basically tells a story, which is sort of what Aron's gonna have to go through. And it's also cool the way he's like with Aron. He's sort of like, "Oh, you really shouldn't give up your immortality for me, but if you do, cool."
Yeah, it's like the options there.
Yeah.
I think you should stay immortal, but like. If you want to
be,
if you want to be with me, that's solid.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
So when I was just googling stuff about Lord of the Rings after watching it, I came across this thing where it was like these photos of the Lord of the Rings cast on like the promotional like tour for publicity tour for Fellowship of the Ring will blow your mind, and it's just like they're all wearing such a horrible sort of early 2000s clothes.
Oh God, I love those.
Yeah.
Compilations of like either premieres or like celebrities, what they look like, or like people, where it would have like shots of like people who are like going out clubbing.
Yeah.
In like 99 to like 2010.
Yeah.
It's all just horrible.
It really is. And like, because the thing is, like, they've got the Fellowship there. It's like it tends to be the main cast that will be out for like doing the interviews, and that would be the Fellowship plus Liv Tyler.
Nice.
And like it'd be like the Hobbits and Legolas are like all these like young lads, and Liv Tyler's there. She's like their age. They're all obviously desperately fancy her. And then there's like Sean Bean, Viggo Mortensen, Jonathan Rhys-Davies, who's like a giant of a man.
He's the tallest one.
Yeah, and it seems
plays
like
the dwarf.
it's a cruel irony.
I know.
And also just seems like a man from a different time.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, like it just seems very much
Man from bygone era, Rhys-Davies. That's how they should, like in tabloids where they like, obviously most of the time they say something really bad about them, like about their weight or some shit.
Yeah,
it's just it's a man out of time. So like he's a time traveler.
Man who's awoken in a world he no longer understands. And then like Ian McKellen, and it looks like it just looks like an awkward like family do.
It does.
Where it's like the younger cousins and like sort of like some sort of awkward uncles, or like a works Christmas do, where it's like there's some sort of senior heads of department, and then sort of like the younger guys in the
guys
office.
who just really wanted to do this as a temp job before they go travelling to New Zealand.
It's probably more likely they've just come back from New Zealand and they won't shut up about it.
Oh yeah,
but like the centre of every photo
had to find a job.
They're like Sean Bean's their uncle. Don't screw this up, lad.
Yeah.
But they're like the centre of every photo as well as Liv Tyler, and you can tell it's the photographer's going, Liv, get in the middle, Liv.
The only one woman that's here at this premiere in Rome or something, because the rest can be bothered. Anyway, I love looking at old photos where it's just. God, the style was just like horrible.
The best thing is Peter Jackson turned up to like they had like 4 different premieres. He turned up to all of them wearing like purple shirt that looks like he's from George of Asda.
Nice.
Yeah, just like
he definitely, especially when he was directing these, he definitely gave off the oh shit, I've got to get a suit.
Yeah.
Just like he didn't realise like he'd have to look alright for the premiere of his own movie.
I mean, what really dates what really shows like how long ago these came out, and how old I am, is that I remember watching interviews for this, like publicity interviews, hyping this film on The Big Breakfast.
Nice.
And I remember
it does age us.
Yeah. How was that show on? Like just sort of really flirty in the morning. Who's this energetic at this time?
I know, right? What was the other one? Live and Kicking, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was on Saturdays.
Yeah.
But like Big
that
Breakfast,
was the weekend version.
Yeah. But Big Breakfast was literally on before we went to school. And it'd be like Denise went out and like, oh hello, what? Whose idea? But like Peter Jackson was there, and I do remember like the sort of sub Johnny Vaughan, who was like interviewing him, was like, he actually had a little bit of like egg or something down his t-shirt. He's a nice guy.
Egg.
But like he was just so sort of he seems like such a sort of like dignified sort of like fellow now, Peter Jackson. But not that he was undignified, but like he seemed like so like nice and normal. Around this time.
He does seem like it's still like that kind of person.
Oh yeah,
normal guy.
But he does also
guy who genuinely should, he's just the anti-studio director.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, right, we just want someone who will like follow the line, just like he looks good for like promo shots, and he's just there, just like polo shirt, like you said, with a bit of egg on it. forgets the time and date of the premiere. Shit, I gotta get a suit. Limo's gonna be here in like 2 hours. I've got to get ready. I forgot. So,
I had a lot on.
Yeah, it's just I've been going through so much Beatles footage.
I cannot tell you how much Beatles.
That's when he started, 2001.
I cannot tell you how many scenes I've got of Ringo being adorable, right?
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, the culmination of all this, the ending of the film, isn't as grandiose as the other two, obviously.
It is the best one though.
But because it is incredible. You are just left on the edge of your seat, and then they're just like,
right? Not just me.
Huh?
Not just me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because it splits into so many different storylines and I was just, because I had no prior knowledge, I was just like, what? You know, and I was just like, how can you stop the film in like the first act of the film?
Yeah.
You monsters.
You were like, you thought like, Sam's gonna drown.
Yeah, I was like, you bloody hawks.
Damn you, hawks! Just screaming it into the sky.
Yeah, so I was just, I was satisfied but enraged that like the film wasn't 9 hours long and the whole thing altogether, because I didn't know about Lord of the Rings at the time. I was just enjoying the ride, and then it just stops.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh god, like, and then obviously I think I turned to my dad. I was like, when is the next movie out?
Yeah.
And he said, I think it's out next year. And I was just like, right.
Right, I shall hold my breath until then.
Yeah, just like I just get out like a mid-sized stopwatch and it just like press go. Just like, and I'm right, okay, and then I'm just like staring at it. It's just like a montage of me just staring at different things that either tell time or like dates. So it's like I'm just looking at a big grandfather clock and I'm just like staring at it and it just goes dong, and then it just like, and then like one of those like automatic date and time things, like the clocks.
Yeah.
And I'm just there, just like intensely staring at it, and it's not even anywhere near close. I'm like at school or something, and the date like just like flips over to like March 21st, and I'm like, yes.
Everyone enjoy your summer holidays. Everyone's cheering you. It's like, so long.
And I'm just like, every second brings me closer to my precious.
How many sleeps? At least 200, Liam. God damn.
Put me back in, and I'm just like get cryogenically frozen, like in Austin Powers. Put me back in.
Or we just like Inception, where it's just like he's got like a little thing on your head, just go to sleep.
Yeah, that's it. I'm connected to a box. The time and date on the box is just like the date of the release, and it just hooks into my veins. I just press that big button in the middle. It's like, so I'm just like,
tilting whenever.
Yes, tilting every time they go around a corner. In that second dream, they're driving to the premiere. But it's as dangerous as it is in Inception, where it's like raining and there's like projections like shooting and like still got that pharmacist like really bad driving. He's just like, oh no, and then we're under because it will be less time in the dream world, or it'll be more time.
All time.
I don't know. Yeah, all time.
Instead of
and then to wake us up, the kick, he has to drive off the bridge.
Drive off the bridge while playing Lord of the Rings like soundtrack.
Concerning hobbits. It's all really relaxing, but it's such a tense situation.
better than that. But that was all. Nice little drum roll for nothing in the end. Still blank. It's all gone. It's all gone, Liam.
Great end that just leaves you on tender hooks.
Just like Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
But it's not the end yet. I've got to say something that occurred to me, right? Me and my friend really started laughing when we were watching Fellowship of the Ring during the council. It's Rivendell, right?
Yeah.
When like Legolas steps up to have a go at Boromir, to be like, that's Isildur's heir.
Yeah.
And like, because Boromir's being like, I'm fighting orcs all the time.
Yeah.
Like, how about some help, yo? Perfectly reasonable.
Of course, yeah. Where were you?
Yeah.
Like, where have you all been?
Exactly. Just honestly, Boromir, any other mission, great choice. Just not right. Just not cut out to be around the ring. And Faramir would have been. Because in the next one, they talk about how Faramir had the dreams. Like Boromir had like one dream. Faramir had like three, saying to like basically like a riddle, which sort of implies they should go to Rivendell and like.
I thought they got invited.
Well, I guess so. I'm just sort of going off what my dad told me and what I read online.
Okay.
But basically, the idea they sort of play it down a bit in the next one. But Faramir was meant to be. He was like better suited for the mission.
Yeah. Because he's not really tempted by the ring.
No, he's sort of He's a better choice, even though Boromir's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, he steps. They have that row. Legolas is like, show him some respect. And Boromir's a bit like, oh. Aragorn goes like, Legolas, sit down, like in Elvish. and it just me and my friends started laughing because it just seemed like he was like trying to calm down his mate that's had too much to drink at a wedding reception and he's kicking off. Like, I said, no, I'm not fucking having it.
It's as sealed as air.
It's just like pulling.
Doesn't matter how many San Miguel's I've had.
Just like pulling. We're having a good. I was having a good day. I'm just trying to enjoy the day. He's just like ripping his jacket off. Boromir goes like, they manage to calm him down. Then Boromir's like, just gives him the finger. He's like, "What are you fucking Elvis I see now, eh?"
in that thick Sheffield accent.
That's gorgeous.
Lovely.
And also, right, a lot of people around that meeting. Maybe they could be useful. Maybe on the mission. I reckon when Elrond, when he goes like, once Merry and Pippin and Sam all volunteer, and he's like, "Oh, you mischievous hobbits, this was a secret meeting, and so you're so endearing." And he's like, "You, a Fellowship of Nine, the Fellowship of the Ring." I'd just like to think there's like at least one or two that are going to be like, "No, this is a cool group. I'm going to volunteer." And then he's got, "You nine shall be the Fellowship of the Ring," and they like these two like other warriors that are there just sit down like, "Well, no, he said it's nine. It's like a thing now."
Because there's like a few like dwarfs and a few elves who come and
and some humans as well. I think.
Yeah. So it's just. They're just like on the outskirts or like looking from like above.
Yeah.
And I just imagine like where they're all standing together and like a few of them are just like, I think we should volunteer as well. Like we can all help. Yeah. Like, the more the merrier, really.
Yeah.
And then and whilst they're saying it's like Fellowship of Nine and they're just all like, mate, do you reckon they'll change it to 14? No, I think it's just past. Passed.
If they've had a moment, it'd be weird now. I mean, I'm a really good fighter. I could be. It's honestly.
I think I don't think jumping in now would be a bit awkward.
It would be weird, like a Fellowship of the Ring, and also me. For God's sake, Gary.
That's right, Gary of the Ring.
And my spear.
Or just like another elf who's just when it's just like my axe is just like, and my pan flute. It's from Morale.
I, Morris the Minstrel. I shall sing your songs to keep you entertained.
But Morris, if you go with them, who will flute here in Rivendell?
Shut up.
Shut up, he's gonna go.
Finally.
Oh, so I mean, I don't really know if a rating is necessary.
Hang on. Let me say something.
All right, go on.
I feel like I need to defend Frodo a bit.
Right, okay.
Because
Frodo does get a bad rap.
He does.
Mainly in the other two movies.
Yeah, but like, because here's the thing. Obviously, he had it hard, man.
Obviously.
Like
the hardest.
And like, I know Sam's fucking excellent, and like he wouldn't have got anywhere without Sam. But he's taking the like ring to Mount Doom, and I feel like the ring is getting stronger like the closer he gets.
Of course, yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
And
he does fall a bit. Like in terms of like using the ring, but not as many as you feel as like most other would anyway.
I mean, I would constantly be like, I should use my invisibility power.
Right now. Exactly. I'll use this powerful ring that everyone's trying to. Yeah. Actually, I'd be totally corrupt, so I'm out. I'm out of the Fellowship of 12.
I reckon I would have like been caught trying to put the ring on just as Elrond. You shall be the Fellowship of. What the fuck?
he just casts you out.
Just get thrown out like Jazz in out of by Uncle Phil in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But I think he gets a bad rap, and he was brave enough to accept
go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he also saw that like Gandalf wouldn't take it.
Yeah,
and like you have to. He definitely understands that like this is like the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
because not even Gandalf would like take the ring.
And like it has to be like someone who isn't like ambitious or powerful, because they're like less likely to be corrupted by it. And it's such a great story about like how like the
power corrupts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is that like a friend was saying to me like power can corrupt, but the thing is often the people that get power like want it, and people that want power tend to be corrupt.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like because apparently Tolkien's thing wasn't like he didn't want the story to be viewed as something that he's just sort of expressing his sort of views upon, because he said then like the writer was like a tyrant, and I like that in that you can sort of put your own sort of you can read your own meanings into it, and like not a lot of art sort of does that anymore. Maybe it just does it well anyway, and like I really like that. It's like a Rorschach test. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I don't know. This film is like it's so rare to see a really good film that also has its heart in the right place. I think I'm just keep going back to making the same points, but they're
No,
I think they're well earned.
the film is a testament not only to like the literature, how deep it is.
Yeah,
It's also in itself. It has to be its own film.
yeah,
It might be taking most, if not like a huge percentage of like the plot points of the book, but then it also has to translate.
yeah,
Because there are books and other mediums that don't translate to film or to TV.
yeah,
For it to be as good as it is, as great as it is just crazy devotion
yeah,
and crazy talent.
yeah. Absolutely.
From across the board, not just the actors,
No.
not just like the editing, not just the sound. Like the soundtrack is amazing.
Every like, so most films that you think of having a good score, there's like one theme that they'll keep playing as like a motif in like various ways. Every bit of music in this is a banger and like catchy and memorable. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Like absurdly good. I completely forgot about it. Wherever Saruman has his like operation going with like the Urukai, dun dun.
So iconic.
Yeah, and also like the sort of like the voices they'll have in like some themes, like when like the sort of choir, when like the ring wraiths are attacking. That bit where they stab Frodo in that don't even know where it is, like where they are when they're camping out, and Aragorn like fights them off with fire.
Yeah.
Amazing scene, music in that's brilliant.
It's called Weathertop.
Right. Yeah, great scene, and like the music in that's brilliant. It's just pure class act, and like the sheer craftsmanship going into like all the props and the sets. And like my friend was saying, like they use some like old school sort of matte paintings and stuff, and like the thing with that stuff is like when it's done well, like even if you can sort of tell it's like a model or a matte painting, it's still kind of beautiful. There's like an artistry to it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's noticeable in this.
No, it really isn't
at all. They'd have to point it out to me.
Yeah.
Because obviously the scenery there is so good.
Yeah.
Like,
and
there's just some of the aerial shots are just like, they're just so intense.
It just seems mental to me that New Zealand wasn't like a go-to film location already.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, like it was
so good.
Yeah, it just seemed like it's a real cliche. Like I think like every reviewer has said this about Lord of the Rings, and
yeah, of course,
thinks they're like the first one, but it's like it's almost like a special effect in itself, but like it fucking is.
Yeah,
and it's so well cast. Like Merry and Pippin, I've always liked them, but like they're actually all the Hobbits. Elijah Wood does his own thing pretty much. Like, I think he made a load of money and like now produces like low budget stuff and like is in a lot of it, and he's been in some really good like weird little stuff. He's in a film called Daddy's Home, which is like awesome, and there's a film on Netflix called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It's really good. But like the other three are definitely, you don't really see much of them, and I think it's a shame. Like Sean Astin, especially, like it's an iconic performance. And also like Orlando Bloom does get a bit of shtick, but like very few people can pull off convincingly playing an elven prince.
Yeah, I know, right?
And that sounds weird, but like you totally buy him the whole time.
Yeah.
That ain't easy.
And for it to be so early in his career, because now we know what he can do and like what he's been in. And
yeah.
For it to be one very early, and for him to be so, he's stoic as Legolas with some bits of comedy, but it's like it is very straight, like majority of the time.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of an undertaking to be people would have said, a lot of it is going to be in English, but then you're going to have to use Elven language as well.
Yeah.
And to pull both those things off is just so hard.
Yeah.
And for him to have been so young and then to have pulled it off, I'm just like, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know that's not a revelation, but it just boggles my mind. Like, he was so early in his career, and then to be cast as Legolas in this, and then you have to learn a bit of a new language. Whether he did the whole thing or not, I don't know. But like, some of your, maybe like a fifth or like a quarter of your actual lines are just not going to be English. They're going to be a made up language.
Yeah.
And then for him to it just is natural. Like, at no point are you like, oh, it's a bit naff.
Yeah.
It's just, it's all on point. Fantastic.
Yeah, very few, because there's a lot of actors that are, will get shtick as made fun of for maybe not being a good actor, but it's just some actors really suit certain roles,
Yeah.
And there's actors who are great actors that wouldn't be able to pull off being convincing in that role. You know what I mean? And Jonathan Rhys-Davies, really good as Gimli. I do wish you only see the very beginnings of the bond in this one, but I do really like their relationship.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, Aragorn, excellent, totally believable.
Again, it just leaves you wanting so much more.
Yeah,
that it's the perfect starter for a trilogy.
Holy fuck! Completely forgot to mention Christopher Lee. Just, of course, he's playing the evil wizard.
Who just does the turn.
Perfect.
Just what can you say? It's Christopher Lee. It's just you believe him as a nice man.
Yeah. You
believe him as an evil man.
Yeah.
There's just there's no bit where you're thinking that feels a bit forced.
Yeah.
But you can tell his motivations. Be they evil, but yeah.
Been seduced by power. Also, the little environmental message in this film, and throughout the trilogy. It's you've seen all the trees being torn down. That's the one thing where you got to it's clear that it's not sort of it's open to your interpretation. It's very much fuck the environment, it's bad.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So should we do a rating?
Yeah, we'll do a rating. Yeah, I mean, might be a little bit trivial, but
so should we do it out of crying men?
Yeah, we'll do it out of 5 crying men. Yeah.
Cool. I think a generous 2. Nah.
Generous 2.
If I could give it a 6, I would.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah, but I can't. So,
no, you can't.
Yeah. No. So yeah, I'm going obviously 5 crying men.
5 crying men. Same here. It's just it is Lord of the Rings, and it is a little bit of a crime that there isn't more fanfare for an anniversary. It's kind of crazy. If they are just kind of saving it for Return of the King. Yeah. Okay, but I think 2001 is when it started. So,
yeah. I mean, I guess they didn't want 2 clashing sort of anniversary specials. Also, maybe what I'd say is that with that Harry Potter thing, they're kids. Whereas, even though they were young men, a lot of them, the Hobbits and Orlando Bloom.
Oh, okay, I understand, yeah.
So, it's... And I think, I don't know, it's... I've seen them pop up on things together already. They did, a read-through Zoom over lockdown and stuff, and, that Stephen Colbert rap, which I know sort of partly inspired this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe it's as big a... Obviously, they, it's well known they, formed strong bonds, intense bonds, but, I don't know, maybe it's just more normal for them to see each other than it is the Harry Potter kids.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I got you.
But I mean, still, Lord of the Rings over Harry Potter all day long. Yeah. Just I've said a lot I've praised it a lot, and I just haven't done it justice.
No, yeah, same,
that's not even me being hard on myself. It's it's that good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You can never. There can never be too much praise.
No.
But we tried.
Yeah.
For a couple of hours.
Yeah. Just because said there can never be too much play. Actually, I don't know how this relates, but I can't hear the word bind without just hearing one ring to rule them, and in the darkness bind them.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Like it's it's never that far away from my.
There's so many there's so many connotations with words, saying, imagery, music.
Yeah.
That it's always it's always in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man. Honestly, like not ain't bullshit. You know the bit where he's like, I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had ever happened. And like Gandalf's like, so do all who see such times. Like, and like that scene is honestly like inspiring. Like, and I've like watched or recalled when like things have been a bit shit. Like over lockdown, it was like a real kind of like perk me up moment. That like just it's just a work of art. And
tons of poignancy.
Yeah,
in all of the films, and in all of this film as well. Like tons of moments where after the actions happened, they're just like,
and sometimes poignancy mid-action.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like
when they're trying to take stock of their lives and what's happening to them.
Well, it's like I know Gandalf pops up again in the next one, but I was still like just gutted because of like how upset the characters are.
Yeah.
Like I think it's Pippin is like crying, like and Merry's like holding him, and then like Gimli is having to be like held back by Boromir, and it's so affecting. But obviously I'd much rather just like some more quips, and pointless CGI. That's more my bag. So I wonder what that's about, eh? No, I put my claws away. I've enjoyed plenty of MCU films. I'm just a bit sick of them. But I won't use this as an excuse to knock something else. I wish more things were like this, or at least using this as something to aim for.
Yes, rather than the opposite.
Yeah, rather than it's like I don't know. Obviously, this is based on like a real work of literature, but I feel like now films of this scale. Obviously, movies have always been a business, but like sometimes now when I'm watching something, I'll see the meeting where that was decided.
Yeah.
And like why it was like financially speaking.
Yeah.
And watching this, you just obviously they had loads of merch. I happily had some of that merch. Top trumps me up. But it's just a real work of art, and see it on such a massive scale is brilliant. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to give it 5, just because.
What?
Well, no, here's the thing. Just because I remember when we were doing Dune. And I was like, I don't think I can give like 5 to a story that's not been told yet. But like, this is perfect. Like it's mental how good it is. And I'm a fairly hopeless man. Not in myself. I'm great, but like I don't have a lot of hope for the world anymore. But watching this again made me, briefly made me feel hope again. And that sounds weird. It's not just because it's like so good. But like just at the end when they're all geeing each other up,
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man.
Especially when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are just like
Let's hunt some orc.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful as well how much they care about Merry and Pippin, because Merry and Pippin contribute fuck all. I don't mean
they are just there for moral support for the other hobbits.
Yeah, and that is. But like, I love that they care about them. And like, that's actually one of my favourite bits in the second one is when they find those bones and think that Merry and Pippin have been done, and like Aragorn like just sort of screams out and like kicks something. Like I love how much they obviously care about him is just lovely, and I think a lot of it was apparently informed by like Tolkien's experience in war, and I don't know, it's just, do you know what? It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's just touching a 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty
good. Like you said, I'd give it a 6 if I could, but by my own rules and definition, I'd rather just slit my own throat.
Just the tears from Sam. If I mean, I feel like I'm the most laid back about the ratings. Like I feel like I feel like there can be a lot of angst over them. But like I won't stand for anything over a 5, really. Don't I'm not about that. Don't worry, I'm no renegade.
You just wait until you've done a lot, and then you're trying to not give one more than the other.
Right.
That's when it kicks in with the ratings.
Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna try and keep it cool.
Yeah, you say that.
Try and keep it chill.
Yeah, you say that.
Mate, I'm the cool one. I've got to find the niche. I'm gonna be like the cool one.
Yeah, the one who doesn't really care about ratings. All right, ratings, Fonz.
Yeah, look, mate, I'm just gonna hit this jukebox and the rating's gonna fall out. But to be fair, I listened to the Eternals one, and at the time, like, it didn't feel like that big a deal. But listening to it back, when I give it 1.5, and to be fair, maybe I'll actually give it 1.
Yeah, I'd probably go lower.
But like, yeah, like you guys react as if I've gone like, oh mate, 4.5 easy. So like, what the fuck?
Oh god. Yeah, that would have been my reaction if you'd given this a 4.5.
Yeah, no, well deserved. Yeah, no, honestly, like we're in your flat right now, you're, like kicking me out.
Yeah,
like, Uncle Phil to Jazz style. Would
Yeah,
have been like the justifiable reaction.
What? And you wouldn't be using the door, you'd be using the window.
Absolutely.
On the first floor. Oh,
I deserve it. That's what as I landed, I'm like, I deserve this. No, it's just it's brilliant, and yeah, I don't know. It's weird because it's sort of for our generation, like we all love it, and that sounds. I'm sure there's people that don't, like.
Yeah, of course. But
like, I know
there's a general consensus that
it's great.
Yeah,
and
that a lot of people of our generation are just absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I feel like
of course there will be people who don't, but
yeah, and like it's what's also awesome as well is like it's not a lot of action. Like there's loads of action. What I meant to say was there's not a lot of like film stars in it.
Yeah.
It's all like there's obviously famous actors. Most of them, this is like the biggest thing they've done.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
no. I mean, like it's just sort of. It's not like Viggo Mortensen. Obviously, like he's very famous after this, but it's not like he then became like a Tom Cruise figure. He's just a well-respected like actor.
I think that's just due to who he is as a person.
Oh yeah, I think he's just like kind of a sort of creative, like sort of bit different sort of guy.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, like it's just so cool that it's just filled with like character actors essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And like Elijah Wood probably could have had a more conventional career than he has.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, testament to him that he does like interesting sort of low budget stuff.
Mm.
Sean Ashton, I'd love to see more stuff.
Yeah.
It's so Sam feels genuine, and he should read as like phony.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
because like he's just it could so easily just be over the top.
I do feel like the appreciation for Sam has grown over time.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like he at the time was not butt of a joke, but like
it was a popular impression, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And also, what this could be. You might have to cut this. Just go on a like terrible tirade. Like,
nice.
No. But the whole thing was like they're gay. It's like, well, A, like if it was a gay love story, great. B, they're not, because it's not.
I feel like that was a sign of the times and just how terrible children are.
It was, but like it's also, but like the thing is, like there's a lot of stuff now where it's like, you can read like subtext, but it's like. I feel like a lot of people just underestimate the power of friendship.
Yeah.
As lame as that sounds.
Like they're just not. Maybe it's just people who just don't have a friend like that they just perceive it as like, it has to be sexual.
Yeah. And
it's just like, no, not really.
No, like some people just really love each other.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's again that thing of like I spoke to I was chatting to like a soldier who was like a friend of a friend, and he basically sort of he's implied it, and other people have implied it, like the sort of bond that people have when they sort of go through like
trauma,
and like held together, isn't something that can really easily be sort of understood or described. And I think this their relationship and the relationship of like the whole fellowship is like a sort of testament to that, which I guess like Tolkien would have experienced, and a lot of people of his generation would.
Yeah.
3 out of 5. Check it out if you've got a spare 4 hours.
Check it out if you've got, don't know, a week.
Yeah.
To check it out. Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing: you only need 1 day to watch. The other 6 days, just going to be soaking it in.
Just going to be reeling and thinking about your life post watching it. Yeah.
And trying to figure out how you can be more Samwise Gamgee. And honestly, you can learn a lot from this. And I want to bring that into the new year.
You want to bring more fellowship into your 2022.
Absolutely, because last year I was more Ring Wraith.
I was more Battle of the Five Armies.
Just a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
I was more CGI Billy Connolly turning up on like a giant pig. Is that what happens?
What? That's exactly what happens. But when you say it out loud, it just makes no sense. So yeah, that's one thing. If you have to do anything in 2022,
Yeah.
let's be more Fellowship of the Ring.